Hey guys, so today I'm going to introduce to you The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. It's an awesome book. I just finished reading it and I could not put it down. So basically this story is about a young girl named Hazel. She is living with lung cancer and has recently had a treatment that shrank the tumors in her lungs so that she's able to get around with just an oxygen cart and live a relatively normal life. But her mother is concerned that she is becoming depressed because Hazel is terminally ill and knows she's going to die eventually. So her mother makes her go to a cancer support group. And one day when she's at this cancer support group, she meets a guy named Augustus Waters. And I'm going to read to you in a little bit their first meeting. But she basically becomes super interested in this guy and begins to spend a lot of time with him. So the book is basically their story, the beginning of their story together. So I'm going to read the first little bit for when they meet, and then we're going to move on to talking more about the book. So here we go. So this is when she's first going to the cancer support group, and she's just walked in. So I didn't want to take the elevator because the elevator is a last days kind of activity at the support group, so I took the stairs. I grabbed a cookie and poured some lemonade into a Dixie cup and then turned around. A boy was staring at me. I was quite sure I'd never seen him before. Long and leanly muscular, he dwarfed the molded plastic elementary school chair he was sitting in. Mahogany hair, straight and short. He looked my age, maybe a year older, and he sat with his tailbone against the edge of the chair, his posture aggressively poor, one hand half in a pocket of dark jeans. I looked away, suddenly conscious of my myriad insufficiencies. I was wearing old jeans, which had once been tight but now sagged in weird places, and a yellow t-shirt advertising a band I didn't even like anymore. Also my hair. I had this page boy haircut, and I hadn't even bothered to, brush it. Furthermore, I had ridiculously fat chipmunk cheeks, a side effect of treatment. I looked like a normally proportioned person with a balloon for a head. This was not even to mention the cankle situation, and yet I cut a glance at him, and his eyes were still on me. It occurred to me why they call it eye contact. I walked into a circle and sat down next to Isaac, 2 seats away from the boy. I glanced again. He was still watching me. Look, let me just say it. He was hot. A non-hot boy stares at you relentlessly, and it is, at best, awkward, and at worst, a form of assault. But a hot boy, well. I pulled out my phone and clicked it so it would display the time, 4:59. The circle filled in with the unlucky 12 to 18s, and then Patrick started us out with a serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The guy was still staring at me. I felt rather blushy. Okay. So then I'm going to skip ahead to a part where Hazel introduces herself and basically talks about her fear, the things that she's concerned about. So I looked over at Augustus Waters, who looked back at me. You could almost see through his eyes. They were so blue. There will come a time, I said, when all of us are dead. All of us. There will come a time when there are no human beings remaining to remember that anyone ever existed or that our species ever did anything. There will be no one left to remember Aristotle or Cleopatra, let alone you. Everything we did and built and wrote and thought and discovered will be forgotten, and all of this, I gestured encompassingly, will have been for naught. Maybe that time is coming soon, and maybe it is millions of years away, but even if we survive the collapse of our sun, we will not survive forever. There was a time before organisms experienced consciousness, and there will be a time after. And if the inevitability of human oblivion worries you, I encourage you to ignore it. God knows that's what everyone else does. So, you get a small little taste of what Hazel's mind is like. She's a pretty complex person, which makes the book a lot of fun, but she is also just a teenage girl, so we get to really identify with her and understand through her voice what she's feeling and as she experiences things. So the book has a really simple text structure. It's logical and linear, and it just moves straight forward. There's no flashbacks, there's no time jumps, so it's really easy to follow in that respect. The characters, like Hazel, all have some pretty solid thoughts and are pretty opinionated, so it makes them all really stand out in your mind. John Green does a really good job of characterizing them through their voices, through their actions, through how they interact with each other. And the story is written in first person, so you get a really good idea of what Hazel is thinking as she goes through life. And it also means that it's written in a really accessible way because it is from the perspective of a teenage girl. So anyone in late middle school, early high school, and probably early high school based on the content in the book, because it does talk about cancer and she does make some questionable references. So maybe a slightly more mature audience for this one. But she does also tackle some humor, sarcasm. There's a lot of irony in this book and some witty references, like she was talking about Cleopatra and Aristotle. But then again, you don't need to know who those people are to really understand the book. So it's kind of, there's two ways to read it. You read it for the references or you read it just for the plot. So it makes it a lot of fun. It's kind of a what you make of it text. So there's a lot of room for discussion. If you wanted to run it in a young adult literature circle, or if you wanted to talk about it in class, you could see what people notice and discuss it that way. So anyways, this is The Fault in Our Stars, and I hope you guys read it.